Alright guys, so what's up? Today's kind of going to be like an all over the place video. Um, I'm just changing a clutch on a Mazda, so it's a 2005 Mazda 3, I think it's like the 2.3 liter. I don't know, it's about the same as changing a transmission on a Honda, a little bit more stuff in the way than like my car obviously, because I don't have half the stuff that you normally would in the engine bay, but other than that, dropping the tranny out, it's pretty well the same and everything once all the other stuff's done. There's no like cross member or nothing, so that's not too bad. But the tranny is pretty big on those, so might have to get a hand getting it out and back in, especially with hurting my back the other day. So yeah, it's been I think like 2 or 3 days since I put my back out, and I was a lot better yesterday, but today I feel a lot better, so I should be good as long as I take it slow and easy. But yeah, we'll just get out there. It's not gonna be a very long video, and I'll show you guys. Today I'm just pulling the trans out to get the flywheel out to get it resurfaced for the guy, and then I'll stop probably tomorrow, get the clutch from him, and find out when the flywheel is going to be finished, and then get it all back together the same day. Get the flywheel back if there's enough time, depending on what time I get the flywheel back at in the day. If it's too late in the daytime, I'll probably just get the flywheel, clutch on, tranny on, and bolt it back up, and then I'll like finish all the small stuff the next morning, kind of thing. But we'll see how it goes and how long it takes. Hopefully they can resurface it quick, which would be nice. So yeah, I'll show you guys once I'm out there and kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm just working on taking like the battery out and moving the wire harness out of the way so I can get to the top of the tranny and stuff like that. So see you guys when we're out there. Alright guys, so I just got the tire off and all the wiring harness pretty much out of the way. The battery box out, the air filter box out, disconnected from the throttle body, and I just basically need to move a little bit more of the wiring, undo a few more small things, the shifter cables, and then pop the axle out on this side completely, and then on the other side I just need to pop it out and get it out of the way. Doesn't have to actually be out completely. So yeah, I'll probably show you guys once I get to that point and I'm ready to drop the tranny out. Alright guys, so I just got my this bucket of oil all capped off, it's filled, and I'm starting a new bucket. The nice thing about Hondas is I run oil in my trans and my engine, or even if you were to run say like Honda manual transmission fluid is basically the same thing as oil, so you can basically mix it in the same jug. It's just coolant. You want to separate like antifreeze from oil, but like gear oil and all that, it's all still considered like an oil, so it can all go into the same container as far as I know. But I am going to look a little more into that when I go to dispose these next time, but as far as I know, the place I dispose them at, as long as it's all oil substance, whether that's gear oil, manual transmission fluid, whatever, as long as it's an oily substance, even automatic transmission fluid is considered, you know, it's more of an oil-based substance. It lubricates and cleans. It cleans a little more than oil does, though. So, but I still think you can mix that in with that. It's just like I said, coolant you got to keep separate. But anyway, I got the oil pan all cleaned out because the customer actually mentioned an issue with third gear. So I want to look at the fluid and see if I can see any synchro material, and if not, I want to look at a few other possibilities. If it does end up being the synchro and not because the clutch is all messed up, then or like if there's an adjustment point on there somewhere and it needs to be adjusted, which as far as I can tell it's cable trans and it doesn't have any adjustment points where the cables connect to the transmission, but there might be an adjustment point on the actual trans, so when I get it pulled out I'll have a better look and be able to feel it going to third. But I just want to do this to see if I can find any synchro material. Usually it's brass. Mazdas I'm not 100% sure, but most synchros stock from factory are usually brass. I think, actually, I think maybe all synchros are brass unless you get like titanium synchros. But anyway, we should see some metal material, particularly brass, in here if it is a synchro issue. And there is still a possibility changing the fluid and stuff could fix it, but it would be probably easier to rebuild this and put a new third gear synchro in than it would be to pull another trans out of another car, and probably cheaper as well for the customer. So yeah, we'll go out there and we're going to drain this, and then I'll show you guys what the fluid looks like. And once that's done, it's pretty much just literally a matter of popping the axles out, and the trans is literally next to ready to drop. So I'll just kind of show you guys once the fluid's drained, show you how far we are, and then I'll just show you once the tranny's out, and we'll have a look at the clutch because it was completely burnt up. So I'm curious to see what the flywheel looks like. We're going to get it resurfaced at C. Smith's machine shop. Hopefully he can hook us up and get it done quick. We'll find out how busy he is when we go in there tomorrow or when I give him a call. But yeah, we'll see you guys when we get out there. Alright guys, so what's going on? I finally got the trans and the clutch out of the Mazda. I can't really remember where I left the video off. I kind of skipped a little bit, but I did check the fluid. There was a tiny bit of brass debris in there. Nothing like super concerning. Like nothing that I haven't seen on like trannies with a little bit of miles before that are still fine. The fluid though, something didn't look right with the fluid. I don't know if it was too thick. I should have double checked to make sure they had the right trans fluid in there, and it didn't look like there was. It looked like there was enough, but it didn't look like it was topped right off. But I did notice with the trans, I think third gear is a little bit sticky to get into. Hopefully a fluid change in this new clutch will help. But yeah, the clutch itself, on this side, this is the side that mates with the flywheel, and you can see it's down right to the rivets. It's got like no meat left. The other side literally has no clutch left at all. It blew right apart. I thought when I first took it apart that a mouse might have built a nest in there or something, and then I picked it up and I smelt it. I'm like, nope, that's clutch. So yeah, anyway, half the clutch literally exploded. So if you look at it like on that angle, there should be another, like on the left where there's that pad, there should be a pad on the right too, and they shouldn't be that thin. So what's happened is obviously this side that was the against the pressure plate, like it usually does, weared a little bit quicker, and it got to the point where it actually grinded the rivets right off, which caused the clutch to explode completely. And at that point that would have been when you lost the clutch, when the customer lost the clutch completely. Now what kind of clutch is in this stock from factory? It says I can't really see what that says, but it does say Sachs low lift. I don't know, it's got huge springs on it though compared to like a Honda clutch. And the pressure plate actually looks like pretty decent and stuff. I just don't know what brand it is. Some type of OEM brand, I would imagine. It says right there too. Now this is, like I said, a 2005 Mazda 3 2.3 liter that I'm doing this clutch on. But that's looking like that's the name of the clutch right there, Sachs, because that's what it said on the actual clutch disc as well. So I've got the tranny out here. I'm just gonna go outside right now, and I'll show you guys once I get out there. Alright guys, so I got the tranny here. Here's a throw bearing out of it. You can hear it's pretty toasted, so hopefully he got a new one with the new clutch kit. Usually when you order a pressure plate and a clutch disc, it always comes with a new throw bearing, and a pilot bearing if the engine has it. Some don't. This one I think does have one on the flywheel, but I have to double check. So you can see inside of there how dirty it is, and if you actually look, you can see like that's a chunk of the actual clutch that blew apart. So we'll get that all like blown out, maybe just slightly degreased tomorrow, cleaned up. Well, we are deciding whether we're going to take the flywheel to the machine shop, and if we do, which we probably will end up taking it to the machine shop, just because I don't know, I'm picky, and for a customer's car, I mean, if it was my own car, I probably wouldn't. Just because if you guys actually look, it does definitely have some hot spots on it. Where you can see where the disc is a little bit bigger than where it was factory itself. But I bet you if I cleaned up, most of that grease would come off, and it would be probably fine without getting it resurfaced. It doesn't look like it's super like rough or like super bad in any particular spot. But for a customer's car, I think, yeah, we'll just go ahead and get this resurfaced for him, as long as it can be done quick enough. And yeah, so I'll get this flywheel off in the morning. I'm not really too worried about it right now. And I gotta still actually grab all the pressure plate bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I got those. Broke one of these tonight. I got some parts there, nothing important. Shoes are all dirty, gotta get those cleaned up. And yeah, I'm just gonna basically get the rest of those tools and bolts. Those are all the tranny bolts. By the way, Mazda trannies, like, you don't need 15 fucking bolts to hold a tranny on. Just use some bigger ones and use less. Anyway, these are literally all tranny bolts. And there's actually one that probably fell off the back of the tranny when I pulled it out, which I don't know if it's under there or not, or if it's, oh, it's still back in there. You can actually see there's another bolt down in there. That one I couldn't get out all the way, but I just kind of slid it back, and because it has the intermediate shaft, I'm actually able to get these trannies on and off with the jack, and you just get it kind of close, get it in place, get a couple bolts in place, and then once you get a couple bolts in place with the tranny all in place, and obviously make sure you don't hurt the pressure plate getting it up there and stuff, be very careful, and then get a couple bolts just to kind of hold it so it doesn't twist right to left at all, and keeps it on the dowel, like lined up with the dowel pins, and then you can kind of just wiggle it. You just, like I said, put the bolts on loose, and you can kind of just wiggle it on the rest of the way until you get it to fully slide onto the dowel pins, or to the point where you know that you can finish it off by tightening the bolts. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. There's not too much more to show you tonight, but I probably will be posting this video tonight because I got a shitload of stuff going on, so I just want to get this out and done. And it's going to be his daily. It's actually a pretty decent car. It needs a little bit of like surface body work there and stuff, but it's not bad. And yeah, everything else went good. No major issues. The only main thing was actually getting the tranny out, because the one bolt, I didn't have a long enough 17 deep socket to get it, so that's my own fault for not grabbing my impact socket set. But we got it done. I'm going to make sure the jack stand is under that engine nice and proper, and you can see there's nothing in the way or squishing there. So yeah, I'll just basically make sure the jack stand is proper, good for the night, get these tools cleaned up. Alright guys, so it's a little bit later. I got all cleaned up and stuff. I didn't go into like a super lot of detail in this video. I just kind of want to make a short video, just kind of like a random video. But if you want me to show you more videos of cars that I'm like working on, because I do work on like quite a bit of stuff in my spare time, just a lot of it's exhaust work, and like brakes and stuff, so a lot of it's boring stuff, that's why I don't post it. This was kind of a little more interesting, and it kind of, you get to see the flywheel once it's resurfaced, and like the new clutch kit being installed, and then maybe as long as everything goes good and he keeps this car on the road, he said he's looking to get work done in the future, and he'll come to me. So if he does, maybe we can get a review on the clutch later on down the road. It's a cheaper clutch. I'm not sure. I think it's still more expensive than like an XTD, and it looks pretty good. It's just a stage 1, like a street clutch kind of thing. But by looking at it and stuff, and it looked like it had pretty good, like it has pretty good quality. I'll know more once I get the clutch from him tomorrow and have a better look at it. But it's not like super cheap. I think it was like a little over $200, and it's just like a stage 1 OEM upgrade basically. So for $200 off of eBay, it should be pretty decent, because there's even cheaper clutches like that, even cheaper clutches than that are still okay to use on just like a daily car that's not high horsepower or anything like that you're not going to be racing. Alright guys, so I was gonna finish the video off, but I decided to go a little bit further just because it's kind of like a good video if you're just doing like kind of like an OEM or OEM upgraded clutch replacement. So anyway, here, I'm not exactly sure what the brand is again. It is an eBay brand, but it seemed to be, the price of it seemed to indicate that by looking at this compared to the OEM one, seems to seem a little bit stronger, just in like the rivets that hold the actual center hub to the clutch pad and all that stuff. It's got a little bit smaller springs, but there's 6 of them instead, so it's going to be a little bit of should be almost as smooth an engagement, maybe even smoother, but just a little grabbier kind of thing, if that makes sense to you guys. But that's the new pressure plate, new throat bearing, which we definitely need, new pilot bearing on the end of this clutch alignment tool, which is always nice to have. And if you look, I think you guys should be able to see inside of there, there's like little roller bearings anyway, so that just kind of sits the input shaft or output shaft, whatever it is, I can't remember what one's what. I think it's the output shaft in the transmission. No, input shaft. Yeah, input shaft sits in that. But yeah, if I mess that up, whatever. Yeah, one of them. So that sits on the outside of that once you pop the transmission off. We got the flywheel here, freshly resurfaced. They did a great job. Shout out to C. Smith's Machine Shop. If you guys happen to be in Canada and Ontario, and you're in Southern Ontario, from anywhere from say Kingston to Oshawa area, maybe even further, if you don't have a good machine shop up there, they're all over. But in my area, I'm in Trenton, which is kind of like between Belleville and Cobourg. If you guys are familiar with the area, you'll know where that is. But yeah, so They're just out in, I can't remember exactly what the address is, but I'll definitely put a link to their website. They have a website, and it tells you a little bit more on what they do and stuff like that. They do great work, and they also did my, I don't know if I showed this as well, they also did my Z6 flywheel for my race car, so that's all ready to go. Just need a clutch, so that's awesome. I've got a couple of flywheel bolts in my hand that I just kind of cleaned up and got ready. Well, they're not fully cleaned up yet. I just cleaned them up enough so I can wipe them down with a rag and then put some Loctite on and get the first couple on, and then I'll clean up the rest of the bolts and torque the flywheel down. Once the flywheel is torqued down, I don't have much time because of the snow, so I just gotta get the clutch on there as quick as possible, get it aligned, which will be super easy with that tool, like I said. It helps a lot. I can do it without those tools, but that definitely makes it a lot easier when it's specific for the application. So yeah, perfect. Gonna be awesome. I'll show you guys. Like I said, it was gonna end the video, but I'm not gonna now. So I'll show you once I get the flywheel and clutch on and stuff, and I'll show you how bad the weather is out today. We're supposed to get like over a foot of snow. I already shoveled the driveway once and it's already covering up again. So I'll show you, like I said, once we get the flywheel on, and then once the clutch is on, so you can kind of see the step-by-step process. And then after we get that done, actually, sorry, before we even do that, I'll probably show you guys the transmission. I'm just going to clean it up a tiny bit, the best I can with what I have. I'm going to clean it up a little bit, clean up the clutch fork, put the new throw bearing in, grease it all up, get that all ready, so then when the clutch is on, I can get the transmission slid right on. I already got the bracket off. I got my proper sockets and impact, my proper socket impact socket set from the shop, so I managed to get that off, no problem. But yeah, we'll see you guys once we finish cleaning the transmission, or while we're cleaning it. It'll just depend how long it takes to do. Okay, guys, so I got the bearings right here. This is the old one, obviously. They're exactly the same. This one's definitely a little bit worn out compared to this one. This is already pre-lubed. We're gonna go put this in the car. Now, inside of these, I don't know how. Oh yeah, you can probably show you guys there. You can see a seal right there. On the other side of it, the bearing goes right to the edge, and there's no seal. That seal needs to go on the outside facing the clutch. On the factory one, if you actually look, that seal, the seal side actually has writing. I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not. Yeah, you can see it. So there, you can kind of see the writing, at least on the OEM bearing. And this, like I said, is for a Mazda 5, or sorry, a Mazda 3, a 2005 Mazda 3. I was mixing up the 2005. This one actually has a little bit of writing on, if I can get it to focus up that close. Okay, well anyway, it has writing on the same side as the seal on this one as well, but yeah, the seal anyway needs to face out towards the clutch. That keeps everything from getting in there. And when you put it in, even if it's pre-greased, just put a little bit of extra grease either on the trans when you go to put it in, or personally, my preference is put it on the inside of the bearing before you put the trans on, just so if you're a little bit sloppy getting the trans in, you don't end up getting the grease anywhere else. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get that installed, and I'm going to get the flywheel on, and I just wanted to let you guys know that because that's a big thing, and I didn't really show step by step of how I took it apart, so I'm going to try to show a little better of how to put it back together. So if you guys have to do this, it's kind of just the reverse, and that's kind of why I decided to make this video a bit longer. So yeah. Alright guys, so I'm sitting under the car right now, with the hood closed. I just got the flywheel on. It's kind of zoomed in a little bit far right now, but remember to use a little Loctite, red or blue, it doesn't really matter. I have red, I've used it many times. It doesn't, the bolts are easy to get out. So yeah, make sure to use a little tiny bit of that on each bolt. I already got the pilot bearing in. You can see you don't want to put it all the way down in, but you want to get it in there. And you can kind of see where the round edge ends going in, and that's kind of where you want it to sit, but you want enough room behind it in case you need to pull it back out. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and Loctite, get all these bolts on, and then the torque spec is, I still got to look at the torque spec, but the pattern will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's how I would do it anyway, and I've never had an issue. But we'll get the bolts all in, Loctited, and then I'll torque them down, and then once I get that done, I'll show you guys the pressure plate and let you know what the torque. I'll let you know what the torque spec was on this one. Alright guys, so I got the flywheel all torqued down. There was a few different specs for this, but I went with 76. So there's different models and there's different specs, but when it comes to that, I usually just use the impact gun and do each bolt in the crisscross pattern until I see them kind of stop moving. Then I know it's pretty well at the torque spec, and when I checked it at 76, all of them were perfect, so should be no reason to have any issues there, and that should actually be the factory torque spec on this, I believe. It may be a bit lower than that, but going higher isn't going to hurt anything as long as you don't break or strip the bolts. So yeah, 76 foot-pounds, like I said, it was really hard online to find an accurate answer. Some were saying like 84. I was like, that doesn't seem right, that seems a little high. So yeah, anyway, I went with 76 or 78, 76, yeah, 76. So I'm just about to put the pressure plate on, got the clutch on there, and I'll show you guys more once I get that in lined up and on. Alright guys, it's kind of hard to see anything right now, but I'll go through here. I can't remember where I left off, but I probably didn't end up, I don't think I ended up showing you guys the pressure plate. I just had to get it done. It's been like this outside all day and like -10, so -10 Celsius. But yeah, so I got the training all in. You can see it's holding its own weight. That jack stand's actually not even on anything. So yeah, everything's back in. It went good, fairly smooth, just time consuming and cold. So I've got to get the axle back in on this side, get this whole wheel on this side put back together, and then I'm going to get the other mount underneath back together, the 2 bolts on the back of the tranny that I've got to get through here. And then after that, it's just a matter of pretty much doing the wire harness, putting that all back in place, airbox, just all the small little stuff like that. There's a couple of other little things, but it's pretty simple. So I could finish it tonight, but I think I'll probably wait for the snow to die tomorrow, get up early and finish it. I am going to get a little bit more done tonight, like at least get that wheel side done and the other thing underneath the car, so I don't have to be back underneath the car anymore. Yeah, that's the worst part of being underneath in this weather. So I'm just going back to the shed now. Take my impact gun back here, and I'm still like not 100% sure how I'm gonna do this video, so it might be, like I said, you'll probably already, well, yeah, you would have already seen by now the intro to this video, so you'll know more what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's going pretty good. It's just a few small things left, I think, at this point. I'm not really going to show you much more. Like, I just used, to get the tranny back in, I just basically used a jack and slowly maneuvered it around, got it to the right height, right pivot angle, and all that stuff, until it was able to basically just slide right on. And then it was, I don't know, I'd say 1/8 of an inch away from the tranny on both sides, and I just threw some bolts in and tightened it all the way, just instead of trying to wiggle it the rest of the way on the dial pins. I already knew the clutch was lined up with the spline and all that other stuff, so I knew I didn't have any issues like that. Yeah, so it went pretty good overall. Like I said, I just got to finish up all the small stuff and the wiring harness, put some fluid in the transmission, and then just started it and see how it is. He never had third gear before, so hopefully it fixes the issue. As far as I can tell, third gear seems fine on the trans from what I was kind of feeling, but we'll see. A fluid change always helps, but the fluid looked really clean, no metal shavings, and you guys, I already said that earlier, so yeah. Alright guys, so it's the next day. I pretty much got the Mazda all ready to go. I've just got to get a couple more bottles of transmission, well, one more bottle of transmission fluid. I got one bottle in there now, enough to start it and just make sure everything sounds okay and stuff. Everything's hooked up, battery's hooked up. I'm gonna just go in there, put the key in it, and make sure there's no engine lights and stuff, make sure it starts up, no weird noises. If it does, I'll shut it right back off, figure out what the problem is. I don't know if I said the pressure plate torque spec or not, but I'll just say it all kind of again now. The flywheel I did to 76 foot-pounds, and the pressure plate I did to 23 foot-pounds. For the bell housing bolts that actually hold it to the transmission bell housing to the actual engine itself, you can pretty well either just impact them on lightly, with depending on how strong your impact gun is and how comfortable you feel doing that, or you can just hand tighten them. If you wanted to torque them, you could probably torque them anywhere between, I don't know, I'd say like 45 and like 60 foot-pounds. I don't even know if you would want to go that high on them. There's more of them and they're smaller than a lot of other trannies. Usually the other trannies, they have less, but they're a lot bigger bolts, so they, you know, they torque to like almost 80 foot-pounds, 83 foot-pounds. These ones literally just hand tighten until they're snug all the way around, and then go around again and give them, like, you know, just give them all you can, not all you can, but kind of just give it some good force with your hand, and until you and keep the same pressure on it until you feel it stop. And then you'll know. Just do that with all the bell housing bolts, and then all the other small bolts and stuff. You don't really need to torque. The main stuff is the flywheel, the flex, or the flywheel, the pressure plate, and the engine mount bolts are a good idea to torque if you don't have a really strong impact gun. I have a really strong impact gun that I know it roughly puts out about 100 foot-pounds if I hold it for about 2 seconds. So I know if I just quickly zip it on there and let it go for a couple seconds, it's good to go. So anyway, I'll go out there and show you guys how everything looks, and then we'll see how it runs. Fucking Canada, bud. This makes me want to have a cigarette. So it's kind of snowy, but you can see it looks like everything's back in place. Underneath you can see everything's good to go. It's got to bleed it just a tiniest bit more, and like I said, put one more bottle in, and then it's ready to go. But like I said, let's start it up and see. I got the key in my pocket here somewhere. Make sure you're in neutral, obviously. Everything seems to be fine. Something is not allowing it to start, and I don't know what it is. Turn that heat off. I think the battery might just be dead. I'll try boosting it and see if that fixes it. Alright guys, so my stupid ass, I forgot I WD-40'd the one ground down there, and I forgot to tighten it back up. So let's see if that was the issue. It should have been. Oh, excuse me. Let's see if she starts up. Neutral, we're in neutral. Every chance to. Oh, and she sounds beautiful. No lights. Nothing. She is good. Alright guys, so now that I know it's running nice and smooth and there's no noises, I know that everything went smooth with the install. I can actually put it in gear and probably see if it'll move. Yep, still gotta bleed it a bit more, but see if third gear works. Alright, well, you can hear that third gear. She's still not working very good, so put a little more fluid in and see if it makes a difference. I don't think it's gonna, but yeah, everything else feels good. Bleed her a bit more, make sure there's no weird leaks underneath, and there's not. So I'll talk to you guys shortly. I know this video wasn't quite as informative as I wanted it to be, but still hope it helped if you needed help doing one on a similar car. So have a good one, guys, and we'll talk to you in the next video.